Hello, good morning, and welcome to a wonderful time on of the week again when we gather around to bring you the latest stories inside and a dose of inspiration on your favorite show. Front page recap on Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja. It promises to be quite an interesting moment. My name is Aliu Doma, and I'm thrilled to be your companion on the program today. From the heart of the nation's capital to every corner of our great city, we're here to empower you with the knowledge you need to start your weekend on the right foot. We've sifted through the headlines, combed through the news, and reached out to experts to bring you a concise roundup of the week's events, discussions, and trends that are shaping our world. In a world inundated with information, we understand that time is precious. That's why we've crafted this recap to highlight the stories that matter most. Stories that spark conversations around the breakfast table. Stories that make you ponder, and stories that bring our community together. Today, we will journey through the tapestry of topics from politics to culture, finance, and also important sector of the economy. So whether you've been engrossed in meetings or lost in the rhythm of everyday life, don't worry. We've got you covered. And remember, this show isn't just about me talking at you. It's about us, the people. We want to hear your thought, your opinions, and your stories. So grab your favorite cup of coffee, give us a call, and let's engage in a conversation that matters. The number will be given to you in no distant time. But without further much ado, let's dive into the heart of this week's headlines with a mix of thoughtful analysis, interview, because I'm going to be having a guest on the program, and a sprinkle of music after the show that is gonna come true. It's going to be an enlightening and uplifting journey, and I'm excited to share it with you. So, my fellow listener, my fellow Abuja resident rather, my listener, friends and colleagues across the world who are tuning in online, that is on YouTube, because we are streaming live on YouTube at VOP 961. Let's embark on this Saturday morning adventure together. The stories await, the discussions beacon, and pulse of the city calls out to us. Are you ready? Because I sure am. Stay tuned as we unravel the thread of the week right here on Voice of the People 96.1 FM. Let's make this Saturday morning a memorable one. Welcome aboard. But first, a quick break, and we will get right back with the week's top stories. Don't touch your dial. Let's link up with our guests also, so that when we come back, we hit the ground running.
To connect with the live studio, press 0700 010 961 961. Thank you for calling Voice of the People Radio. Please hold while we connect you.
Microphone check 1 2 1 2. Now you have a voice 1 2 1 2. Because everybody talking 96.1. Hold up, what's up? 96.1. Don't break the voice.
Thank you for choosing Voice of the People FM.
Alright, you welcome back. You're still listening to Front Page Recap on Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja. We are right on time, and today we will be looking at some touching headlines that you might have missed because of your busy schedule or due to a lot of other issues that are best known to you. So part of what we will be looking at is going to be the portfolio of Tinubu's ministers, because that is part of the most trendy news over the week. NNPC borrowed $3 billion from Afrexim Bank to boost the economy. Are you aware of that? And also that the federal government have concluded plans to give 5 billion naira to each state That is the 36 states in the federation, including Federal Capital Territory, with 5 trucks of rice as palliative. And also, NNPC and also the federal government assures Nigerians that fuel price will not be increased. So these are some of the headlines that we will be looking at this morning. Obviously, it's not going to be me alone. I have a guest who has joined us via the telephone, and together we will be having a very wonderful conversation. Don't forget that you can also join the conversation when we start. I've given the phone line already, but I'm going to give the phone line probably when the show progresses. Let me introduce my guests. I have Mr. Dipo Oyewole, a strategy consultant and a public affairs analyst, joining us on the show this morning. Good morning, sir, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
All right, we will be diving straight ahead with the first headline, talking about the portfolio of Tinubu's ministers, where we have a lot of controversy. Reactions continue to trail that particular portfolio. As the headline says, Tinubu assigns portfolios to ministers. Wike gets FCT. First of all, let's have your thought on this particular portfolio given to this eminent Nigerians, to use that word, before we go into specifics.
Well, like other Nigerians, I had mixed feelings with it. A few we thought were in order, a few we thought were a bit amiss, but giving it a few days to think over and see how certain things have been playing out, I think that maybe we'd be a bit more gracious and see how they intend to execute their new portfolios in terms of whatever capacity they may have, which I believe that the president will have put into consideration. For example, Wike getting FCT was definitely not what anyone was thinking about. I was on the program, I think, the week before this, and we discussed the possible portfolios they'd be getting, and I said it would make sense if Wike got works, right?
Yeah.
Because of his temperament, his type of person, and that would have been appropriate.
And also his antecedent as governor of Rivers State.
Yes, and like I said on the program, that it's somebody like Wike. I was talking about his temperament. That Wike is not somebody like a contractor. You don't want to pay it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You are laughing. So you understand what I'm talking?
Yeah, of course I do.
Yeah. So the only bit of it that you may just have is, oh God, the contract is 2 billion. I don't have 2 billion to pay you. I'll give you 1.5. Or God, we can do it 1.7. I'll give you 1.6. He's also somebody that will also get your money out. If you know, okay, he's also somebody that will make sure you get paid, so that he also has grounds to let me use the word harass you if you don't get the job done. So for me, I would have thought that putting Wike in works would have made a lot of sense. However, some folks believe that making him a FCT minister was also to curb his influence off the national level. Saying, if he's, for example, Minister for Works, he has a national reach with that particular portfolio.
Yeah.
And some folks believe that just making him Minister for FCT means that you limit his influence to FCT. That could be the reason. It may not be, but we will see in some time to come. Dele Alake.
But sorry, before we move to Dele Alake, since we are into specific, let's look at the issue of Wike now, where you said you would have expected him to be Minister of Works. But Dave Umahi also did a lot in Ebonyi State.
Yes. So it's saying that it wasn't comparative to what we have as their portfolios today.
Okay.
I was referring to the conversation that I had the week before.
Okay.
They were assigned portfolios.
Okay, so now what would you say about Dave Umahi as Minister of Works now?
Well, I believe that he will perform. I mean, he did well in Ebonyi State, and I believe that he also has an antecedent to that particular area, and he will deliver. He will deliver. For me, right, as much as we may want to approach a lot of what government does with skepticism, which is also what makes a democracy work, okay?
Yeah.
I believe that we must also be objective in how we attend issues and see how we can inject some bit of optimism into it. Now, so far, these people just got their portfolios. They haven't, I'm sure they just assigned the offices maybe yesterday. Some people are just getting to know the staff and all of that. I would say that we be a bit more gracious and see how they perform. And then we judge them based on the performance or lack thereof. Okay?
Yeah.
So that for me would be how I would like to approach the issue and these issues and how I prefer to approach some these public platforms. Because we must also be very careful with the kind of information we put out there. We must be responsible with how we have these conversations to ensure that we also do not spread disinformation, panics, pessimism, and things that aren't overall net positive for the society. But as much as possible, we must also be able to hold government to account to say that, okay, this makes sense, this one doesn't make sense, this is a better way to go about it. So yes.
All right, now there are concerns here, to be precise, in the Federal Capital Territory of Wike as the Minister of FCT, coming from the South River State to be precise,
yes.
and also the State Minister of FCT, Dr. Maria Mahmoud from Kano State, where the indigents of the Federal Capital Territory were raising some concerns that these people don't know the terrain here in the Federal Capital Territory, and judging by the previous administration, talking about the previous FCT ministers, they tend to focus more in the city center, not going into some of the rural areas where there are a lot yet to be done, yet to feel those people are yet to feel the dividend of democracy. So they were saying they would have preferred an indigent, because there is this Mr. Zafania Gisalo, who was made the Minister of Special Duties, that it would have been a better choice if he was made the FCT minister. What do you think about these particular concerns as raised by the FCT residents or the indigenous people of the FCT?
I actually agree with them. And this was also part of the, I would say, permutations that we did on different platforms before the official portfolios were rolled out, where I said specifically that for Minister for FCT, I would expect Zephaniah Gisalo to be a Minister for FCT, primarily also because that's literally the only person from the FCT on the list.
Yes.
So it not just be a plug and play issue to have Gisalo just be FCT minister, being the only representative of the FCT on the list. Do you understand?
Yes.
There are other states. I mean, we have, in this particular situation, we have to treat the FCT like a state, right? Within the context of this conversation.
Yes.
There are other states that also have one representative. There are a few states that have more than one. Okay, but the case where time and time again we've had conversations and complaints with the FCT believing, and in some cases rightfully so, that they have been underrepresented in time past, underrepresented in national issues, underrepresented in FCT issues, as a matter of fact. I believe that it would have been more prudent to have someone like Gisalo be the FCT minister, also being the only representative from the FCT on the list. And also I believe that it would have been a lot easier to hold someone like Gisalo to a high level of accountability with little room for excuses. This is why I say that. Now, from the premise of the question you asked me, with the feedback that people who aren't from the FCT do focus on the city centers, the urban centers, and ignore the rural areas, it would also suffice to say that they may also use that as a bit of a crutch and an excuse, which is not valid. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It is not valid in either reality now. But having someone like Gisalo there, the question would then be, what is your own excuse? You know the urban centers, you know the rural areas. So what is your excuse?
No.
You understand? So from a performance perspective, Gisalo would have also made a lot of sense in that particular regard, saying that we want to hold the Minister for FCT accountable either by the people or by the presidency. But I mean, Wike is there now. We'd have to see what he'd do. But at the same time, I believe that either it's a southerner or somebody from the FCT, and this is speaking to every other person who occupies some form of government position, either you're appointed or elected, that we the people must also see how we hold them to account, because it is our own part of the democracy, right?
Yeah.
And we have been saying this for many years now, that a lot of Nigerians aren't quite alive to the responsibility in terms of holding our leaders or people in positions of authority to account. We just believe that, okay, we'll go and vote for them and we leave them to do whatever they want. And 4 years after, they come back, tell us the same story, and then we vent, we tell them, oh, what did you do in the last 4 years? Without understanding the fact that what these guys are counting on is the fact that we do not ask questions. What they're counting on is that we do not give them any feedback, which should change. Which should change at the federal level now, and in some states, we sort of have hit a reset button, quote and unquote, where we have a new administration. Some National Assembly, we have some new members coming in, we have some old ones returning. We must see how we approach a democracy in a different way. We cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Someone says it's the definition of insanity. So as a people as well, we must also identify our own base in this democracy to say that, yes, over here, they are the elected, we are the electorate. How a democracy works is that the electorate have elected the one, then the electorate hold them to questions. We have people in National Assembly, in constituency, making them attend constituency meetings. Are we going to offices? Are we asking questions? Are we relaying our concerns, our complaints? If they are not doing it, are we seeing how we can recall them? We need to put these people on their toes.
Yeah.
So yes. So either it is Wiki that is FCT minister, or it is somebody from the FCT. We must see how we hold that particular individual accountable, and for every other political office holder in this country. So I was trying to make an expansive point from this particular question to see how we can also expand the conversation from this particular point, that we must have it as a culture. We must have it as a culture as the people. So this is not just about the people of the FCT holding the minister to account. It is about the people of Nigeria holding the people in positions of authority to account.
All right, now let's talk about what happened in the previous administration to an extent, which I know former Minister of Education, former Minister of Interior, that is Malam Adamu Adamu, and also Abdul Rauf Aregbesola came out to say they know nothing about the ministries where they were posted to, talking about their portfolio, but they will learn on the job. So also we have some portfolio assigned to some ministers in this current administration that I personally think, and also some Nigerians were of the opinion, that these people are not suitable to such portfolio. One of such is the Minister of Sport Development. He is a politician and also a farmer. No any affiliation with sport that we know, that is in the media space for us to see. But he has been made Minister of Sport Development. How do you think such person will take that ministry to a greater height?
Well, personally, I believe that a ministry like sports, either we like it or not, it is. So let me take a step back. Primarily, right, the job of a minister, in any administration or in any government, is mostly administrative.
Yeah,
right?
Certainly.
It's also supposed to set the agenda. That you have gotten a directive from the president, and then you are supposed to distill it down, set the agenda, and have your team work on it. So what we'll mostly be seeing from such portfolios, what we are to expect from them is how their people skills will be put into play. This is what I mean. There are people who have been working in that ministry for the last 20-25 years. In that ministry, they have permanent secretaries. In that ministry, they have directors, right?
Yeah.
So the minister coming on board, how have you been able to familiarize yourself with the people who you met there? Are you the kind of person that listens to advice? Are you the kind of person that takes recommendations? Out of that, are you also the kind of person that, even though it may be presumed that you may not be the best fit for that place, or you don't have any prior knowledge to that particular ministry, are you the kind of person that goes out of your way to learn? Because we can say that you are taking advice from directors and members of staff or your team. We also need to understand that there's also a possibility of people acting in their own self-interest, and they'll lead you astray. Because either way you like it, it is your head on the chopping block.
Yeah, sure.
If anything happens, nobody's going to hold any director in that ministry. It is the minister that will be held responsible. So the question is, are you developing yourself? Are you going to find out what it takes to be a minister in that particular ministry? So whatever recommendations and advice you are getting from the directors, the permanent secretary, members of your staff, you are able to balance it out against what you have also been able to garner for yourself. So I believe that should be a format that we should employ, because I mean, it happens in the private sector as well, where we have certain folks who say, okay, this is the role you applied for, but at the point of the interview, we believe that you will be best fit for this particular position. The onus is on you to see how you can develop yourself, not just saying, okay, you learning on the job will comprise of whatever comes through your desk, whatever instruction you are given, whatever comes in the memo. That is not how to grow as an adult to even begin with. So it's your own personal responsibility to see how you can develop yourself in different areas to see that you are best suited for the job. Listen to advice, see how you can distill it, balance it out, and execute. That is your responsibility as a minister. Minister for Sports doesn't necessarily need to be a former goalkeeper of the Super Eagles, right? Yeah. It's mostly administrative role. But yes, I believe that because of what we've been seeing in time past, especially in that particular ministry, that people would expect that the person would have been somebody who has served the nation in a particular capacity that has to do with sports, because the expectation would be that you know how things are, being an inside person that has been on the field. So you should be able to change things. For example, if you have a former Super Eagles goalkeeper now, just hypothetically, be the minister for sports, you would expect that the next time we have national teams go out for sporting activities or sporting competitions, that the allowances are paid duly, because in your own time they were not. Do you understand? So the provisions will be made now because in your time they were not. So those are primarily the expectations with having somebody who has been in the field in that particular ministry. But I believe that these expectations should also be standard and not dependent on if maybe you've been in the field in that particular area or not. They should just be the SOP for that particular administration of that ministry and how they carry out their activities. So that should be the standard.
All right, let me now have your personal thought on Abubakar Momo, an elderly person of about 60 years being the Minister of Youth. Are you comfortable with that?
No, I am not. And one of the things that we've also been talking about in the last couple of weeks is, I mean, for Minister for Youth, should be a young person. If we had a Minister for Women Affairs, should be a woman.
Of course.
Yes.
Uju Kennedy.
Yeah, so those are, yes, Uju Kennedy. So those are things that you would expect that they be a bit simplified and a bit obvious. Minister for Women Affairs should be a woman. In time past, we've had a man be Minister for Women Affairs, and we'll be asking what kind of anomaly is that? Which is the same way that we're having a 60-something-year-old man be Minister for Youth, because in the end, how can you also relate and identify with the people that you're supposed to be of service to in that particular ministry?
Especially the generational difference.
Yes, generational. I mean, he's 60 plus. I'm not 60, but I'm a millennial, and in some cases, I don't even connect all the Gen Zs. Imagine the distance from being 60 plus to saying you want to implement anything that would be of value to any Gen Z.
The lag is much.
Very practical. Yes, you're very out of touch. I mean, there's certain things that go on now, and I'm like, okay, and then I have to call up maybe a few younger friends. Oh, but what's going on here? Can you explain it to me? Because I want to know what's going on. So we must be very circumspect with these things and not just say that. Of course, we do understand that in some cases, if not in most, that political appointments like being a minister is also about relationships, political settlements. That's not what I'm not implying that's what's going on here, but we must also identify that that's also a reality. It happens everywhere where there's politics, right? But at the same time, we must also be circumspect with how we address certain issues, especially going by, one, the youth population that we have in Nigeria, two, the rate of unemployment that we have in Nigeria, which we must be able to correlate a lot of numbers together, saying that we're having a lot of young people. We have a high population of young people, also have a high population of unemployed young people. It is a very tricky situation. So we must see how we cater to that particular demographic to be able to get the best out of them.
All right.
So I think it would be more appropriate to have someone young.
Yeah, as much as I'm enjoying the conversation, it is now time for me to go pay some bills. When we come back from that advert, we will move to other stories, because as a strategy consultant, you will be giving us some of the rationale behind the strategy of the NNPC to go borrow $3 billion from Afrexim Bank to boost the Nigerian economy. And also, we will be opening the phone line so that our listeners can get into the conversation. This is Front Page Recap on Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja. Stay with us and please don't change your dial. We will be back in a moment.
Traveling to Lagos and desire the perfect getaway?
Look no further than the luxurious accommodations at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, number 42 Murtala Mohammed International Road, Lagos.
Relax and unwind in our beautiful appointed rooms, featuring all the amenities you need for a comfortable stay.
Now, whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, our attentive staff is here to ensure that your every need is met. We also offer complimentary pick-up and drop from the Lagos Airport.
Why not take advantage of our state-of-the-art fitness center, outdoor pool, and enjoy a delicious meal at our on-site restaurant?
With stunning views, world-class service, and a prime location, Airport Golden Tulip Hotel is the perfect choice for your next vacation or business trip.
So why wait? Book your stay today and experience the ultimate in comfort and luxury at Airport Golden Tulip Hotel.
For bookings and reservations, please call 0815-8003-333 or 0815-7003-333. You can visit our website at airportgoldentuliphotel.com.
Airport Golden Tulip Hotel, where luxury meets comfort.
Believe me.
Are you aware that Iruka Online Limited installed and designed a 100,000 capacity church building? Oh yeah, we are the sole distributors of global leading brands all over the world, such as Wafday Line Array, speakers and digital amplifiers, Preseno's digital mixers and studio equipment, Coswell workstations and keyboards, Fender guitars, Mapex drums, Ashdown bass combos, just to mention but a few. We offer flexible payment plan handled by our financial department with 24/7 customer care support system. You can visit our website on www.iruka.com to avoid buying fake products. You can also visit our showroom at number 36 Lagos International Airport Road beside Golden Tulip Hotel. Iruka, never settle for less. The award-winning pizza in the US is now here in Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Romeo, the pizza champions, and Coldberry ice cream.
Nice, man.
Let's go! Visit any of our outlets and feel the rich taste from the pizza champions and Coldberry ice cream.
At number 4, Odomosho Street.
Area 8, Geriki, Abuja, or 3rd Avenue, Guaripa, Abuja, or Federal Housing Estate, Phase 2, Lube, Abuja. Call 0908-831-5906 or 0908-831-5908 or 0909-238-9861. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter at romaspizza.ng.
Website
www.romaspizza.ng. Romeo, the pizza champions.
We have been serving you hot and fresh content on radio, and you have been loving it. Now we're taking it further. Catch us live on YouTube at BOP TV for all the juicy content you can't resist. Talk shows, exclusive interviews, news, lifestyle, and more. It's all about you. BOP TV, show up, speak up.
People, can I have your attention, please? You say, tell us the news. And now, here it is.
Voice of the People, 96.1 FM.
Now,
You have a voice.
You're welcome back, and in case you just joined, welcome. You're listening to Front Page Recap on Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja, where we are looking at some of the major headlines that made the news over the week. And I have a guest with me on the program, Mr. Dipo Oyiwole, a strategy consultant and a public affairs analyst who has been doing justice to our conversation today. At this juncture, I will be opening the phone line so that you, my listener, can get through to us in the studio. And the studio line is 0700 010 961 961. I'll take that again, 0700 010 961 961. You can also send your SMS, or you want to use the WhatsApp portal. Yes, the same number works for WhatsApp. You can drop your WhatsApp message, or you call via the WhatsApp portal, or you send your voice note. We will certainly give it needed voice. All right, thank you very much for staying with us, Mr. Oyiwole.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to the next topic that we have today, talking about NNPC, who went to borrow $3 billion from Afrexim Bank to help boost the economy. What do you make of this decision by the NNPC, and also are they statutorily saddled with that responsibility of helping out in the economy, or is the responsibility of the CBN?
Well, statutorily, I'm not quite sure if they are, but I do not think it is out of place or illegal, if I may say that, to do so. I'll say that from this perspective, because also the NNPC is also a revenue generating arm of the government. So what if they were, because ideally whatever revenue NNPC generates is supposed to go into federal coffers, right?
Yes.
So how about they say that as an organization they borrowed that money and they, in quotes, say it's revenue, and then they give it to the federal government? What if it comes from that perspective? Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, of course I do.
Yes. So that's why I believe it's not out of place to do so. And saying this, maybe the CBN, I mean, we've already, from what we've seen in the last couple of weeks, we've had so much exposure from the CBN end, and I do not believe that it will be prudent enough for us to also have the CBN go do that for us, because even the mess that the former suspended CBN governor made, we're still trying to see how we can clean that up. So I wouldn't advise any further exposure from the CBN end of it with regards to this kind of move. So yes, the NNPC getting it done is appropriate for me, and also because they also have the capacity to pay back, because so whatever revenue they generate from sale of crude and all of that in the next couple of months, years, they can always say, okay, this is what we're paying back per time. Do you understand? So how is CBN going to pay back? Are they going to say, okay, we want to print more money to convert and say we are paying back? No. So this is the revenue generating arm of the government or organization within the system that can say that, okay, we generate X revenue. We can say within this particular period of time we will generate more than we have borrowed, and then we can pay back with a short period of time. Yes. So yes, I believe that's a brilliant strategy.
All right, now let's take a look at this issue of price of petrol in Nigeria, that is PMS. The NNPC came out to say there is no rumor, because prior to that there has been rumor, not even rumor, because oil marketers on Sunday came out to say the landing cost has increased based on the market dynamics. International businesses in the oil sector has had an impact on the price of fuel, which means they are proposing that a liter of fuel should go for around 720 naira or thereabout. Then after then, NNPC came out to say no, there is no move for any upward review of price of premium motor spirit, which of course on Tuesday the federal government also reiterated on that fact that there will be no increase in price of premium motor spirit. So I started asking myself this question: this sector has been deregulated, which means it is the market forces or dynamics that would determine how much a price of PMS is sold for. But now that they are giving us assurance that there will be no increase, does that mean subsidy is back from the back door? Because it is not openly told, we are not openly told that there is going to be subsidy. So federal government said there will be no increase in price of premium motor spirit. However, subsidy regime still remain off. Hello.
Those intervening, saying that
hello,
the responsibility, because we also have to be very. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. There was a kind of breakage from the network.
Okay. Yes. So as I was saying, that no subsidy isn't back, and for them intervening to say that you can't increase the price of fuel is also their responsibility, because we must also understand that even though we're saying the market forces need to determine price, we must also know that it isn't the Wild West, where you just come and say, okay, this is the price of it today, it's 720 today, and then 1 month after you say it's 740. Because we know how things go in Nigeria, right? And because the precedent would have been set that we can always say it is market forces. So the question now is, if you let us get away with it now, how can you prove it isn't market forces when we say it will now go for 750? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that is why they had to intervene now, so that no, that's not going to happen. Make do with whatever arrangement you can make do with now. If you need to get cheaper from cheaper sources, get that done, to ensure that the cheap of people isn't further exaggerated. So no, subsidy is not back either from any back door or any door whatsoever.
All right, let's take a look at this one, talking about issue of palliative in Nigeria, where we woke up after the National Executive Council meeting. The federal government has approved 5 billion naira for each state and the Federal Capital Territory to enable them procure food items for distribution to the poor in their respective state, as disclosed by Governor of Borno State, Babagana Umar Zulum, at the presidential villa in Abuja shortly after the National Economic Council meeting on Thursday. Do you think this is the right move by the federal government to give palliative of 5 billion naira to the state governors for the purpose of their state or their citizens? Is this the right way to go?
Well, we've always said that anything called a palliative is first and foremost a temporary measure, and it's just supposed to be a cushion effect. So with how things have been in recent time, I believe it's a step in the right direction. And I tuned into a particular program, I guess maybe a sister station or not, but where someone called in, I was complaining that, with the money for palliative, why doesn't it go into building refineries? And question them, which is a question where that a lot of people are asking. So getting the refinery fixed and all of that is going to take some time. But in that time, how will the welfare of a lot of Nigerians have been? So this, for me, what I see the federal government trying to do is trying to see how they can balance things out. Now, subsidy is gone. Certain economic policies have been made, adjust and adapt to that particular reality. Price of fuel has gone up, price of gas has gone up. What are the ways that we can see how to cushion the effect of the people? So I believe one of the things that first federal government has said this is what we'll do. It is going to your governors. Why are you not going to shout at your governors? Why is everybody focusing on federal government? Which is why a lot of these guys get away with a lot of funny stuff. So it goes back to my initial point.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows that, all eyes will be on the federal government. So your local government chairman does whatever he likes. The members of your state houses of assembly do whatever they like. Your governors do whatever they like.
But now talking about the amount now, do you think this amount will have a huge impact on the lives of Nigerians? 5 billion naira per state and 5 truck of rice.
A huge amount of impact, not at this time, but I also don't believe that it will be the only phase we will have of it. So it would also be prudent for the federal government to also space it out. Do you understand? So, for example, now this is not me speaking authoritatively now. For example, let's say in terms of what they had planned out, also looking at the revenue that's coming in and whatever we have in our reserves, if we have anything there anyway, to say that, for example, maybe 30 billion naira per state has been budgeted for palliatives.
Yeah.
How about we release it in tranches of 5 billion over a space of maybe 2 months each? 5 billion next 2 months, another 5 billion next 2 months after, another 5 billion. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Instead of saying to release up 30 billion at once per state. Also accounting for the fact that we also don't even have the money to even release all of that at once. So yes, it will get somewhere, but it won't go all the way. That's what people also need to understand. The idea is not for it to reach every single person, but it is supposed to reach the most of the most vulnerable in every state of the country.
Now my next question. How do we determine those the vulnerable in the society? That is the most of the poor or the poorest of the poorest in the society. How do we know those persons? Do we have the mechanism put in place in this country to ascertain who are those really vulnerable people, especially when we know what happened in the previous administration, that this present government are saying even the National Social Register doesn't even have what they take. It lacks integrity, so to say, and they are not going to be making use of it.
So it goes back to, this was also one of the issues that we had also raised before, talking about palliatives in Nigeria and if it was going to be effective in itself, because in the end, if it's not going to be effective, then it's just a waste of resources and time, right? It goes back to saying, are we going to claim that states do not have their own register? Because realistically, how can we say that we are relying on a register the federal government has? Where did the federal government get that register?
All right. Sorry. Let me just hold you there. We have a call here. Let's hear from our caller and we continue. Hello. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for calling. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
My name is Ivan calling from Karakuchi.
All right, go ahead.
I want to comment on two things.
Okay.
One is on that 5 billion given to East State that told the governor.
Yeah.
I would have always said the money should have passed through the House of Rep representing each local government. Since we have East State will have 10 House of Representatives representing East State. These are people from the grassroots that knows all the people that are supposed to benefit from the money. So if that money is channeled through that representative of that state, that money will never they will account for the money because the people know them. So whoever carry that money, the people will be sent on the person. If the money is given to the governor, I will know you know what happened during the last administration. The money that will pass through the Madonna will comes to even the palliative that were given them through the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Services. We all know how the money was shared. The students are giving money. They said they were giving food when they were on holidays. And some people are giving cash. People cannot account for. So that for 5 million, the money, so my solution is that we are going through the House of Representatives, House of Representatives. That's number one. For the youth, these are youth. There's one Tijani, the one they say that he participated in answer.
Tijani
Bosu. Yeah, they would have given that one in Minister of Youth. That man is not too old, but
yeah, he's young. He's 42, but the age, the ministry he has been given is, I think, it's the best suited ministry for him, communication and digital economy, because he's a tech expert, and I think he's going to do well there.
There's no way he will not do well now. There's no way he will not do well. That is the thing that doesn't mean that he will say they do well. Some of them will be giving that thing that they will not do well. The best I would have learned for him, since he's one that led the youth doing that answer, they would have given him some youth. So you know those youth, you know what to do on them, how to live and afford the youth service. But the one for other men, or like Minister of FCT, giving to him, I think it's the best way. I would say that is the best ministry for him, because all the infrastructure in Abuja, they have all the clean. That administration, Abuja was more or less abandoned. Say for example, if you are coming from airport, the whole place supposed to be illuminated, but only have the dark. You say whether this in Nigeria are coming, it's not like that. And somebody in terms of El-Rufai, I will know that Abuja was lifted up. Abuja is lifted everywhere. But now, even on the road, you see these small holes. All of them are open. If you are driving, you don't hold. If you don't take time, it will cause accident. Because of the bamboo, they are everybody do whatever they like in a place. Nobody is checking anybody. And floor area, she's smelling. If you can indicate what he did in Port Harcourt in Abuja was a very good place. There are so good for the shufflement. If person is staying in a place for 2 years or 1 year and you can stick to another place to go and also do well in another mission. One is not his capital, and he was in the FCT. Then you remind what he did in Abakaliki. If you go there, see the type of road he constructed in Abakaliki, that will last for long. If you can do that one in our road, I think we have a good person that will do something here.
All right, thank you.
So that's my own.
All right, thank you very much. We appreciate your call and contribution on the program. For the purpose of record, yes, the federal constituency is not fixed to say we have 10 in a state, talking about the House of Reps member. Some states have more than 10, while some have less. For instance, FCT, we have only 2. I think the state with the highest is Kano with 24, and also Lagos that also have 24 federal constituencies. So this is the case. It depends on the number of federal constituencies a state has. So that is that. All right, thank you for calling, and let me call the phone number again for the purpose of those, or the benefit of those who just joined us on the program. Front page recap on Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja, 0700 010 961 961 0700 010 961 961. We also have our guest. He is with us, Mr. Dipo Oyewole, a strategy consultant and a public affairs analyst who has been doing justice to our conversation. Mr. Dipo, you heard our last caller. He made his own opinion, even though I don't know if you have anything to say about what he said.
I actually didn't get a lot of what he said because there was a lot of echo. Could you please help with the recap or summary?
Okay, but no need of that. If you didn't get, let's just that's his opinion. But because we have other thing we want to look at due to time constraint. Now let's move to our security. There has been security breach here and there in the country. In Plateau State, a lot of attack on non-gunmen attacking villages, Mangu, Riom, Barikiladi to mention but a few. Also in Zamfara, a lot of kidnapping, banditry activities over there, and recently in Niger State, where about 36 military officers losing their lives in that particular attack. And there was this video that has been making round, one of the bandit leader Dogo Gide claiming responsibility of shooting down the Nigerian Air Force helicopter down, although the NAV hierarchy, talking about their spokesperson Gapquet, came out to debunk that claim that that's not what happened. But again, let's look at our security architecture holistically. What can we do to improve on what we already have, because the activities of bandits in Nigeria is quite alarming?
Yes, it is, and please permit me to conclude my previous thoughts on the issue. All right. Yes. So what I was saying about the register is, one, very quickly, one, I do not believe that it is realistic to rely on the federal government for that kind of register, because what do we have the local governments for? They have the mechanisms to have an effective register to get the data, either we like it or not. I'll give you one example. They have health departments in every local government. How do I know? You see them going from house to house saying, oh, do you have a child here that he needs to get vaccinated and all of that? Have the mechanisms in place so they can get this data if we're serious about it. So it goes back to us holding the people in office to account, to say this is what we need to get done, get it done for us, because it is your job. I have the mechanisms for it. That's that. With regards to your question with our security architecture, we need to be a lot more aggressive with how we approach it. And unacceptable, the loss of life, either of servicemen or of civilians. Very unacceptable. And we're hoping that this new administration will be able to address the particular issue. For me, I do not see any further negotiations with these people to be tenable. I believe that we must deal with them militarily and decisively, because for too long we've had these negotiations go, and in the end, what have we gained? Yesterday we saw reports of some folks that said they are retired Boko Haram or whatever title they're called, protesting that they hadn't gotten their allowances. And from the onset, we are kicked against that particular policy by the previous administration. We're saying these guys are reformed or retired. What's particular? Because in the end, right, in every country of the world, in some cases, you have all these people come on board only for the particular reason of delivering actionable intelligence. All of these guys in their hundreds and thousands, what useful actionable intelligence have they been able to help to give us to aid against the fight or against the insurgency? So far, from what we've seen in the previous administration and what's still going on, I don't believe it is a lot. So of what utility are they to us exactly? What utility? Because we have to be circumspect with how we go about managing our security and also allocating our resources. Because now these ones are saying, okay, they haven't been paid allowances, and they will still be paid allowances going into millions, if not billions of naira. What are we getting in return in terms of value? I'm not sure we're getting anything. So we must be very, very circumspect with how we go about this entire conversation of how we handle banditry. These guys are murderers, they're terrorists, they're killers. They must be treated the same way militarily. There can't be any negotiation, because so far, what we have seen so far is that negotiation hasn't gotten us anywhere. It hasn't gotten us any positive direction. It's been a net negative for us. So we must deal with them decisively. We must do that.
All right, time is not on our side. I think we have exhausted our time. Just a quick final words from you so that we wrap up.
Okay, well, very quickly to reiterate what I said at the beginning and at the middle as well. Nigerians, we are the electorate. We elected the officials there. We must be able to hold them to account. Either they are appointed because the person that is appointed because of the person you elected. So either the person is appointed or elected is primarily your responsibility, either directly or indirectly. So we must see how we hold these people to account. That is our own part of the democracy. Their own part of democracy is to see how they can carry out policies to execute, to aid our own lives, to make it easier and flow a lot better. Our own responsibility is to see how we can hold them accountable and give them constructive criticism to say that this is what you're not doing well, this is how to go about it, this is what we need. Give them feedback. The people in National Assembly, State Houses of Assembly, your governors, your local government chairman, these guys are the ones closest to you. Have conversations with them. The federal government is not the only arm of government. Abuja is not the only place where governance is happening in Nigeria. Look closer to home. Hold these people accountable. And I believe that we'll have a better Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.
God bless Nigeria, and God bless you too, my guest. I really appreciate you, Mr. Dipo Oyewole, a strategy consultant and public affairs analyst, for your wonderful time on the program and your input. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, do have a lovely weekend ahead.
You too.
All right, we've heard that from our guest, Mr. Dipo Oyewole, who has done justice to our topics for discussion today. I hope we're able to add more value to you for giving your time to listen to our program on Voice of the People 96.1 FM Abuja. Just like I said earlier, we stream live on YouTube. If you missed from the beginning, you can go to our YouTube channel to watch what we have discussed with our guest. VOP 961 on YouTube, on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Thread. VOP 961 at VOP 961. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also drop your comments there whenever you are on that particular handle. This is where we call it a wrap on Front Page Recap of today's edition, Saturday 19th August 2023. My name is Ali Udoma. Do well to stay with VOP 96.1 FM and don't change your dial. But before then, this is the end of the program, but it is also the beginning of another interesting time on radio. What do I mean? Have you ever found yourself entangled in a web of hot feelings and strained relationships? Fret not. We are here to guide you.